Joining us now is Robby Johnson. Robby, how are you?
I'm doing good. Hello, Donna. It's great
Hi.
to be on the show. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, what's so interesting is I'm here in Long Island, and you were telling me before we started rolling that you spent time in Connecticut.
Yes, yes. So as a kid, I would spend all my summers at my grandparents' house. They lived on Putnam Street in Hartford, Connecticut. And my grandfather, Leo, was a janitor for the school and also the church that was attached to it on the corner over there. So every day we'd spend in the gymnasium playing sports. There was a piano over there as well, and we would also that was a major highlight. We would ring the bells at noon of the church, so that was really cool. It was always intense because there was one rope that would go so way up high. We were afraid that we would just go up with it and then disappear. I don't know when you're a kid.
That's really
It was cool.
cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
My last name growing up was Campana, which means like bell, means like
Oh,
bell ringer. And I always thought, I was like,
yeah.
wow, that's so cool. I was also, have you ever, Robby, I
Yeah.
digress for a second. Have you ever seen the Liberty Bell in person?
No, I haven't. I see
Okay,
tons
I
of
went to
pictures,
go
but I have
Okay. I thought it was as big as a person, right? And it's not. It's like a little bitty thing. It's like about like this big, right?
really?
Yeah. And I was like,
I
what?
thought it was huge.
Right.
Yeah.
I did too, because in grade school and probably even in the school that your grandfather worked, they'd have these gigantic big
Yeah.
Liberty Bell cutouts, right?
Yeah.
With President's Day and have the crack in it and stuff like that. I was expecting it to be ginormous. And then I went and I was like, oh, it's the Liberty Bell. It was still cool, but ringing the bells
Yeah.
sounds awesome. So this new song you have, it's
Yeah, that
called
was awesome.
More Than You Think. And More Than You Think, you
Yes.
wrote out of love for your grandparents, right?
Yes, yes, totally. And it's funny, the process when I'm writing songs is just I sit down with my guitar and I start fooling around, chord progression, and just let the words out. And sometimes it's only halfway through the song that I start to realize what it wants to be and what it's saying. And for this one, it was about my grandparents, and I had to narrow it down to my grandfather Leo, and it's just a great song. They did so much for me growing up. My dad left when I was 5 years old. He abandoned his family, started a new family, never told us about it, lost track of him and all that. And so my grandparents did a lot for us. Like I said, I would spend all my summers at their house, and then they moved near a lake. Every weekend, I would go there, and it was tough growing up. They job sending money, clothing, shoes, and all that. But there were some times where at school for lunch, I would just drink water. That was my only lunch. I didn't have money for
Sorry.
a bus ride or for a lunch, but and they did everything. And I remember going every weekend to my grandparents' house and get a full meal. That was the only real had in the week. So I would just take as much as I could in, to last for the next Sunday when I would go back. So they did so much, and sometimes he- my grandfather he wasn't teaching me stuff, where he's like, "Come here, I'm going to show you how to do this." It's just that you look up to him, and you're like, "Oh, he can do that." You just look, from afar, and like, hey, if he can do it, I can do it too. So. Like him, I can fix pretty much anything in the house. I'm a handyman, and yeah, so many things that I learned from just watching them and everything they did. Taught me how to take care of a family for sure.
And talking about doing things and fixing things around the house, it's like lefty loosey and righty tighty, right? I'm like, there are certain things that I think today, like everyday kids, they don't really know, right? They just don't know because they're spending all their time on, and I'm not saying anything wrong with social media whatsoever,
No, no,
but
no,
there's
no.
certain life skill sets that you learn, like how to take out the trash or like just silly little things, right?
Oh, that
Because
that
there's
my
nothing
kids
else to do
that
but
my kids know.
chores, right? Because when you're growing up, there's nothing to do but chores. You do chores, you go out and play, you come home before the lights go out, the street light
Yeah,
goes on. I mean, that's what you do,
yeah,
right? So, and then I
yeah.
realized I was like, wow, well, they're not doing laundry on Saturday because they're doing something else on their phone or on their computer. But we didn't have any of those other things, so I think we filled in
Exactly.
with chores,
No.
chores, you know. So,
Yeah, chores and I mean we would just play with whatever and building furniture from a box that was a lot of fun. It was like Legos and all that, but older version, more adult version of Legos and the IKEA, that you can build. But for my, like my son, is sometimes you're like, hey, just help me build this. And he doesn't have the patience. And I totally understand. If I would have had, that phone in my hands at a young age, I guess I would have stayed on it just like they do. I don't see why we would have been different than what
Yeah,
the kids are doing. I totally understand
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, and I love my kids. They're 3 grown, wonderful people, and, they're awesome, and but I sometimes I do reminisce. I miss the olden days, right? I do. I miss that. I miss what life was like
Yes.
before there was so much chaos, So it's more than you think, right? More than you think.
Yes, more than you'd
Awesome.
think, and, yep, yep, it's doing pretty good. It's featured on, Spotify's all new country playlist, so I'm really excited about this, to be with other, greats, of the music, so, yeah, I'm really excited about this one, and if you guys can go check it out, more you think, Robby Johnson.
Gonna check it out. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for joining us, and I wish you continued happy success. I'll call it the land down under, beautiful Nashville, Franklin, that whole area. Oh, someday my boots will be there. So thanks for being here with me. All
Alright, thank you so much, Donna,
right, you're
thanks.
welcome. Happy journeys. Bye bye.